page 1003.
1003, same file.
Yes, same.
Yes.
This pertains to Bria case, which is January 2023. This is a statement from Alan Subramani.
Yes.
Sorry?
1003, you said.
1003. Yes.
The one
flagged.
at the top, Perea.
Yes. Bria, yes. So this would have been right in January 2023. What you then see is at paragraph 5 of that statement. It reads as follows. On 2023, January 05, at about 18 o'clock, I was driving my white Mercedes-Benz. As I exited the parking bay opposite Bread Mill Bakery on Problem Mkhize Road, Bria, I was shot at by men with automatic rifles. Paragraph 6, I tried to flee, but I was shot multiple times and collided into a stationary vehicle. The gunman continued shooting at me. I managed to alight from my vehicle and hide in a nearby building. So that's the action. If you turn over, it says, I underwent several surgeries and still have a bullet lodged in my back. I am currently still in recovery and receiving treatment. Importantly, at paragraph 8, it reads, the suspects were in a white Toyota Etios. I recognized the driver, Bevan Loftus, and the front passenger shootist, Ryan Santos. He is known gang member and hitman for Bevan Loftus. The backseat shootist was a black male. Now, that is interestingly commissioned on the 25th of April, 2023. Would you say this event or this narration, you also find it, you wouldn't agree with it?
No, I can agree with it, because if he was shot and he was hospitalized in a serious manner, obviously it would take time for him to recover too.
Sorry, just speak up.
Sorry, I wouldn't disagree, because if he was shot in January and it took him time to recover, if he underwent surgery and etc., it would take time for him to recover and to depose a statement.
Okay, and then the narration of the events or the allegation that Bevan Loftus was a gang member, that was among the guys that were shooting him.
That's a lie. Not because he's my son. On the date, that came on over social media. On that day, Bevan was at home. I can verify that. In fact, there was footage downloaded from the hard drive, because he knew that it's going to come back to him. I'm not sure where that little disk is, or that data stick is, where the footage was downloaded. And if they hadn't taken the hard drive on that date, if it wasn't written over or recorded over, you'd see that he was at home.
Okay, thank you. Then, on the same file.
I'm surprised, Mr. Loftus, that you don't raise the issue with the deponent. One of the things that we almost never get wrong is our names and surnames.
Oh yes, I see that, yes.
But the deponent here twice gets his name wrong and it has to be corrected.
Yes, I did see that. I didn't think to comment on it. Yeah. I did see that. And they spelled Bevan's name wrong as well.
No, that one is somebody else. I mean, that happens. I can also get your surname wrong. But I never get my surname wrong, ever.
It's a good point. I did see it, but I didn't think to comment on it. Yeah.
But someone else might have typed this.
Yeah.
And then when he read through it, he then saw the mistakes or not.
Can I make a comment? Just to go back a bit. This Belair case where this witness statement is now submitted, which I believe is fabricated, I asked the question. They came basically guns blazing for Bevan, stating that they're going to kill him on these 2 dockets. And we had the information, it was reliable information, that they're getting these dockets solely to get him into custody. And they're going to kill him, which I don't doubt because they've done it. From what has been on air, yeah? And also from what we hear on the news.
Sorry, just backtrack on that. You're saying there's been a similar occurrences?
Yes, it's been. I heard John talk about it yesterday. Len John talk about the one case yesterday. My question is this: they came with those 2 cases and they didn't get him in December. They took some time to come back. If these cases that they had were so serious, why did they have to fabricate a case of attempted murder, of him shooting at the police at the Bluff meat supply, if they already had this serious matter against him where they could arrest him? Because when we got to court on the second time, there was no mention of these cases, he being wanted on these 2 cases. They focused solely on that attempted murder, which didn't happen. That has been my question. Why go to that extent when you already have cases against him?
Sure. You recall earlier, I'm just probing those things and what the reputation is.
Yes.
And whether those affidavits, you believe those allegations are true or not. And you saying you deny them.
It's denied
those
because
instances.
I can say with confidence that Bevan was at home on that day, because when the shooting happened, he actually called me from next door and said, look what's taken place here. They're going to blame me.
Okay.
Then I said to him, go and download the footage that shows that you were in the yard, that you haven't left.
Sure.
You say when the shooting in Berea case.
Berea case.
So was it on TV?
No, social media. When he was shot, it went wild on social media. Everybody
When
had
this man was shot?
Yes.
Okay.
That's fine. If on the same file, and again, this is just simply on the reputation, and I'm not casting any reputation. I'm just dealing with what was reported. It's still on the same file. It's Exhibit CJC 403, but I'm more interested. There are other articles, but the Daily Maverick one.
Where do I find it?
The same file, 1169 on top.
Okay.
Now, just in the interest of time, this article is written post the shooting, which will come to now, but it narrates what has happened, the drug wars, the turf wars around the tow trucks. I think you also, I'm not sure whether you can dispute that. Those that interlink.
Are you saying that there's drug wars?
For example, that they were, between the tow trucks there was turf wars, and then there were allegations of drugs being used via tow trucks.
Okay, when you say turf wars, my understanding of it is for turf war is if someone that from another area would encroach on another area, like in the taxi industry.
Yes, exactly.
No, in my opinion, that didn't happen because everybody that was running in the Durban South area were normally running in that area.
So are you saying there were no turf wars?
No, I don't believe that.
Okay. So these reports about turf wars and the deaths that are there, you're saying they are false?
I'm saying they are false. What I can say, as far as disputes in a particular area, what I can say is that there are disputes amongst tow truck drivers and, if I can say, owners at some stages, where there will be maybe disputes on the accident scene of who arrived first, because how it works is first at the scene picks up the first car, second at the scene picks up the second car. So sometimes there is disputes with that regard. But as far as turf wars, I'm not aware of any turf wars of anybody coming from another area and trying to encroach, which I would say would create a turf war. I'm not aware of anything like that.
So there's just a lot of news reporting around that you would see in the file that they say that, but in any event, you're saying there were no such things.
There were no such things.
Okay. Then at 1169, then it talks about the shooting, but interestingly at page 1170.
Sorry, I had it on the wrong page. Let me just get that. 1169.
Yeah, but let's go to 1170.
1170. Yes.
There's a report there, and it's just for your comment. It says Gregory Loftus, 34, was a tow truck operator with a mean reputation who died with 4 others in what police described as a violent clash on the afternoon of Saturday, 1 April. Would you say the mean reputation allegation, as it were, is also false?
That's false.
Okay.
He didn't have a mean reputation. If I can elaborate, he only did when he started his business. When at later stages, he didn't drive. He'd never driven a tow truck. He wouldn't go to accident scenes. But in the beginning, to establish the business, he didn't drive, but he used to attend accident scenes. So if he got to a scene, for example, and one of the other operators who came after him were trying to take that tow from one of his drivers, he'd step in and dispute that action. When they say tough, I would say that's the kind of tough I would say that it was.
Mr. Loftus, you, without in any way commenting on the circumstances of his death and what you say were the threats that were being made, what you say about the cases that were being pursued against him and the allegations, without me commenting on that, it's fair, is it not fair to say that you were not around the clock with your son, as no parent can ever be around the clock with their child? You have also testified, for example, that because he changed his phone so many times, you didn't even know his telephone number at the time that the police were there, that you really are not in a position to categorically deny the description, for example, that he was mean. He may well have been mean out in the streets, and out of respect for you, would never show that to you. But as a parent who's not around the clock with their son, it seems to me that you may not be in a position to say in every case that allegations are made about him and where he's described in these terms, you may not be in a position to say all of that is lies. You have to make room, at least I think, you would have to make room for, well, I didn't live around the clock with him, so I don't know what exactly he got up to, but the son that I know could not be described as a mean person. Is that not, would that be a fair proposition?
I agree that would be a fair proposition.
Okay, thank you.
But what does that mean to what you earlier told us?
Look, as the community says, I'm not with him all the time. From what I know about him and what I hear in my sight and and whatever's on the street with the towing industry, I can vouch for what I said. But as the commissioner says, I'm not with him 24 hours a day. So I agree that I don't know what he would get up to if I'm not with him. But as far as his toughness, yes, he is tough, but I know that he's not a guy that would go and cause trouble unnecessarily. He's not that type of a character. But if someone brought the trouble to him to say he'd do what he had to defend himself, let me put it that way. He had that kind of a tenacity. He's not a pushover. He's the kind of guy that would step up for an underdog, you know?
That's fine. But I just want to understand your answer properly. Are you saying that insofar as you are concerned, insofar as you were with him, you can't say he had a mean reputation or a bad reputation?
No, I can't say that.
But you can't say, for instances, you were not with him?
To a certain extent, yes. It's obvious because I'm not around to see what he's doing.
All right. Then if you turn to page 1185. And then this is after the shooting. Cele was, former Police Minister Cele was interviewed by ENCA. And this is what it says. Well, let me read what it says rather entirely. The third paragraph. Cele arrived on the scene after the shooting and addressed the media. According to clips from ENCA and the SABC, Cele says, these guys have been profiled. They have been causing havoc. He continued, the syndicate seems to be much bigger than what we see. It's a group of guys who looked like the nucleus of this nonsense of drug turf wars. Cele said they went around eliminating their opposition. The stacking thing, Cele said, was that Loftus had a very long list of cases against him that were withdrawn. Let me just pause there. You would say, based on what we discussed, that insofar as you are concerned and insofar as you've been with Bevan, let me just push it further, you would say this is not true.
Of the cases being withdrawn?
Of what Cele says, which he says is part of the drug turf wars.
I disagree with that.
You disagree with
I
that?
disagree with that.
Okay. But then if you follow Commissioner Baloi's proposition, which you accepted, in instances where you would not be with him, you can't for sure.
I can say for sure that he wasn't dealing in drugs. I can say that for sure.
Okay. And the other instances, for example, he says they've been profiled, but I suppose you can't comment when they say they've been causing havoc. You don't know what...
No, I can't comment on that.
All right. And you can't certainly...
What I can say, as I said earlier, a lot of the times when they say Bevan was shooting, the CCTV and the downloads to show that he was at home because he hadn't left the premises for a long period of time because of the heat that was placed on him. Can I comment on the cases?
Sure.
Okay, I'm presuming that if they profiled, I'm presuming that they went to the stations on the system and checked if he's been charged for stuff. Yes, he had been charged for stuff, even before he became a tow truck driver. But cases were withdrawn because they were found to be false in most of the instances. I can't say that I know the contents of it, but he would relate to me if someone charged him. And I can categorically state on a few occasions where he was falsely charged. I can quote the instances. There was a Belair case on one occasion. Okay, he was just newly in the industry. There was a driver that, I can't remember which company he was driving for. A case was opened against Bevan for, I can't remember if it's attempted murder or assault GBH, where he said Bevan assaulted him. Bevan was arrested and placed before court with, I think, other people. I don't know how many. The victim or the complainant, his wife, came to court and submitted a statement saying that that was a false case that her husband opened against Bevan because when he came home with an injury on his, I think it was on his forehead if I recall, she says, she asked her husband what had happened and he said he was in an accident and his head hit the windscreen. The case was subsequently withdrawn. There was another matter.
So sorry, before I think it may be unnecessary to go through those matters. It would seem, let me understand you correctly. Are you saying, or maybe the other way is that you're saying in some cases, Bevan was falsely accused,
I'm saying that, yes.
but not in all the cases?
I don't know, yes, I don't think he's an angel. I know he had domestic issues with his, well, now, who became his wife, while she was his girlfriend. I think she charged him that domestic issues, and she had applied for the protection or the domestic violence interdict, and I think he was convicted on that. And then there were traffic offenses, I think, relating to the taxis, where he pleaded guilty, he paid a fine. And then I remember there was a matter, I think it was a conviction when he was young. He was an avid fisherman at the Bay area, where they were arrested. I don't know if it was fishing in the wrong area or no license or something to that effect.
Just the essence of it is that he was not involved in violent crime.
No,
That's
it
what
wasn't.
you.
That's what I'm saying.
And
yes.
all these cases are fabricated.
Yes, it was fabricated.
Okay.
I feel I need to speak on the one in particular. He was still a youngster before he got into the towing industry. He was arrested for an attempted murder, allegedly shooting at someone, him and a few others, at the local service station. He was detained, I think, for a long weekend, and the case was not put on the roll because there was no evidence. But we work in the construction industry, so when you go there, they do police clearances on you. I can't remember how I got the knowledge of this, but we were going to travel to Petro SA in Mossel Bay, the refinery, and I knew that they do these background checks on criminal records, because you have to make a declaration, and if you lie, obviously you don't get the job. I established that there was a case of attempted murder filed at the Wentworth police station, where Bevan was given a conviction for attempted murder. The docket had never been placed on the roll in court. It was registered on the Criminal Record Center as a conviction for attempted murder. Do you get where I'm going? He didn't appear for a case, but he had a conviction.
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. Now, I must say I'm finding it rather difficult to accept that. I'm not saying there were no instances, but I'm finding some difficulty with saying all of these cases, including the minister and everyone else, where would just end the reports would just simply target Bevan and say he was engaged in violent crime. But your contention is that he wasn't. I'm just finding some difficulty with that. But we can move on from that.
Can I just respond to that? When I'm saying he wasn't involved in violent crime, it's because there's no evidence of it. I mean, he wasn't charged. There was the narrative that is involved, it's social media sensationalism, and it's social media WhatsApp communications, sensationalism as well. As I'm saying, I'm not saying that he didn't get into fights or stuff like that. As I say, I'm not with him all the time. What I'm speaking on is what is fact. It's in black and white.
Sure. And then you'll recall earlier when we played that video, and he was the one, and you accepted that made a threat to Mr. Naika.
If you interpret that as a threat, which I can't say it's a threat, yes, I agree.
Okay. And that threat is about leaving?
Yes.
Okay. Chairperson, can I just request to play a video that deals with the reputation and what the police have said, and then we'll go to the execution portion of the affidavit. I beg your indulgence. It's quite a lengthy video. It also narrates the turf wars and the killings and also what transpired. So I just request that we flight it.
I'm looking at the warning there. Just pause, please. I'm looking at the warning there. So do we want to play it?
It's not those photos, but I can see the difficulty, but it's not further up. Perhaps what we can do is to edit those in light